Have you seen our cat captain? He's a tough little guy.
Sandrock is a wonderful place where a cat can be a celebrated member of the town guard, and every street gets fully decked out for the holidays. It's got plenty of Western staples too. A ranch managed by a salt-of-the-earth family, a cute main street, plenty of lovely accents.
So long now.
And of course, a touch of danger. My Time at Sandrock is a great entry in an ever-growing list of cozy games. It's consistently fun while standing apart from the crowd thanks to its theme of optimism grown out of hard times.
I don't have the motivation or ambition to seek betterment for myself.
Oh, you guys, bring it in.
As a sequel to My Time at Portia, this desert-based follow-up is deeply familiar.
Howdy.
Like its predecessor, you've come to a struggling town to assist in improving and growing it by building items and relationships.
My workshop is yours now.
Learning to build an efficient workshop was a joy, and progression is steady both in terms of new quests and new things to create. Which meant I never lost interest across the 75 hours I've spent with it so far. Gathering resources can be a grind early on, but it's just the kind of calm grind I'm looking for in these games. Resource gathering starts with digging through scrap piles and kicking trees, eventually working up to diving into old world ruins. Mining is once again a relaxing and quiet activity that has an added touch of excitement thanks to a special rat enemy that appears at random and drops valuable rewards. Meanwhile, getting wood poses a unique challenge early on in Sandrock. As a city nestled in a desert plagued with sandstorms, keeping any deep-rooted plants alive is a priority for the townsfolk. With that in mind, cutting down living trees in Sandrock's city limits results in a fine and damages your relationship with the townsfolk. Dead trees are fun to chop down though. Water is also a precious resource essential for your workshop to function at all. And if something like, say, the town bridge collapses resulting in no water being imported, water prices rise significantly. These unique challenges excellently set Sandrock's desert setting apart in more than just a visual way. Sandrock's story has 3 main plot lines. One is about defending the town from mutant lizards. Another is about discovering how to reverse the area's desertification brought on by a relic rush.
All the crops will die without that.
And finally, my favorite of the bunch, a hunt for former community member turned bandit named Logan.
Everybody hands up. Nobody moves.
One of the 3 storylines is almost always active, with maybe only a few days of downtime between them, so they kept me enjoyably busy. Most story objectives are completed by building new essential items or structures, or occasionally clearing out baddies from ruins. Combat in Sandrock is still a basic but serviceable hack-and-slash system that's best in short bursts. Dungeons are woefully straightforward and tend to err on the side of boring if you attempt to explore them in their entirety due to a lack of useful rewards. Regular and boss enemies have interesting attack patterns and designs, but with combat being so simple and my character being rather tanky, you're only ever in any real danger if you go into an area where you're drastically underleveled. A meaningful puzzle element or an interesting new weapon for every forced dungeon crawl could have made them more appealing. I think there's a constant stream of side quests in addition to the main story, and there wasn't a single one that felt like a waste of time. That's largely because they center around the needs of Sandrock's excellent residents.
Whatever, they're going to appreciate this a lot.
Where Portia's residents could be dull or too stereotypical, I found Sandrock's to be vibrant. There's an impressive number of people to meet too, with more than 45 friendable characters and even more new townsfolk moving in as the story progresses.
Thank you.
Some of my favorite characters included a rancher named Cooper, who has a knack for odd and highly detailed rants.
I don't know about that.
And the Dr. Fang, who hardly talks at all and instead lets his raven speak for him. Side quests and other friendly activities earn relationship points with the involved townsfolk, which in turn leads to new dialogue lines, bonuses like the occasional gift or shop discounts, and the chance for romance. There are a whole whopping 21 romanceable characters in Sandrock, and I'll admit it was hard to choose one person to woo. Though it can take a bit of time to build up to friendship, Sandrock does a stellar job with this system.
Sweet dreams, my love.
Sandrock has a great number of quality of life improvements, including better menus, free sprinting rather than limiting it with a stamina bar, and much more. One of the biggest improvements is being able to build and complete requests with items stored away in chests back at your workshop rather than needing them actively on hand. There are tons of items coming and going and getting processed into new things constantly, so not having to meticulously manage each was a huge relief.
Thanks.
In addition to crafting items, farming, taking care of animals, relationship building, sand fishing, because fish live in sand pools here, cooking, decorating my house, and mining. There's even more to do with minigames. Some of these pop up during special holiday events, but there are also one-off games to play at almost any time at the local game center. An unlockable sand racing minigame needs better steering. But aside from that small problem, most minigames, like the straightforward whack-a-mole and seasonable events, are enjoyable. Believe it or not, there's even more to do on top of all of that. Even with as many hours as I've played and all the quests I've done, there's plenty for me to upgrade around my workshop, and I still don't have my 4 skill trees completed. That said, I do wish some of the skills were geared toward the endgame, rather than the first dozen hours or so. In the Gathering skill tree, one is specifically for digging in piles of junk for resources, which is something you only really need to do toward the start. Sandrock suffers from wavering polish on the technical front too. On PC, assets and textures pop in noticeably unless you manually go in and bump the settings to the highest options, which isn't ideal for a game with relatively low recommended PC specs. Xbox had similar issues as well. While this is more of a minor annoyance and is easy to get used to, I've seen other persistent visual bugs. None have been game-breaking, but I hope the sheer number of weird visual issues get patched out over time.
Hello.
Where the single-player campaign asks for your help in saving Sandrock from economic collapse, Sandrock's multiplayer asks for your help in building up Sandrock from its basics. I was shocked to see major locations were missing entirely when I jumped into co-op on PC, leaving it to you and up to 3 friends to work together to build new shops and key locations. Like the campaign, Urban Planner progression relies on building prestige for yourself as a builder to access bigger and better things. It's still a solid system and a neat spin on the single-player story.
What are you two yammering about?
Other great differences include removing the requirement for sleep with an added nap function that can be used once per in-game day to quickly refill stamina and health, as well as different skill trees and a daily task system. I was also happy to see how the difficulty in dungeons scale based on the number of people going in, which did seem to make them more challenging as a result. The chests in dungeons and around the world even have more useful loot too. One of the best things about Sandrock's co-op is that anyone can hop into the multiplayer town even if the person who hosted it is offline, which isn't the case for co-op in one of my favorites, Stardew Valley. While I was only able to play a few hours of multiplayer before this review, I'm determined to get lots more in. There's enough that's changed between multiplayer and the campaign to justify digging deep into both. Besides, it's the perfect opportunity to choose a different person to romance to.
Wow, you really care, don't you?
Whether collecting resources, building items, or passing the day away playing mini-games with townies, my time at Sandrock is a joy.
You draw better than the sheriff.
It's clear the team behind Sandrock took lessons from my time at Portia to build significant quality of life improvements that boost almost every main feature. The dungeon design is still a little too basic to be consistently fun. Even though it doesn't nail everything it attempts and it's got a few odd visual bugs, it's hard to linger on those when the townspeople's golden personalities and Sandrock's general unrelenting dedication to goofiness outshine any minor stumbles.
Oh no, he's hot.
The new multiplayer mode is also another fun way to take on building up this desert town, with different challenges that make playing both it and the campaign a great time. For more, check out our reviews of Thirsty Suitors and WarioWare Move It. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
Well, better get to work, eh?